triathlon is an individual sport, but you become a success based on the community that you have.
I can do hard things.
You can create the most stunning experiences from just look around you. There's so much you can do with what's around you.
You're usually limited by your beliefs.
Once I got onto the run route, I just kept saying this. Jesus, thank you. Like, I had COVID like all of 6 weeks ago. Climbing a flight of stairs was like, felt like I'd run 10K. And now I'm running in Mossel Bay.
Race 3 of 4 on this Africa Odyssey. It is Mossel Bay 70.3. What an experience. Sometimes I think they say let's save the best for last, and I think that's actually what has come through for this race. It was beautiful, stunning. In terms of like how it went, we'd been warned in advance that it's a pretty hilly course. I tended not to believe that since we've already done Rwanda. So you just take things until it's hard to actually anticipate and figure out how it's gonna look without actually being there.
It was an adventure. Oh my gosh. So, left Kenya, was it Wednesday? Was it Thursday morning? Thursday morning. We're blessed enough to fly Kenya Airways. Shout out to Jennifer. Thank you very much for sorting out our tickets. And then the best part about it, they sorted us out from Nairobi straight through to Port Elizabeth. And then I'm sure you guys are like, what? I'm supposed to go into Mossel Bay? No. Like, listen, Mossel Bay is like in between Port Elizabeth and Cape Town. So initially we were supposed to go to Cape Town, but then spoke to our deep state member called Silas Hayundi, based in Port Elizabeth. He's like, nah, man, you leave Cape Town, come to the Windy City. So, Nairobi, Joburg, fantastic flight with KQ. The food was amazing. Like, I'd literally fly KQ just for food. It would be one of the most expensive meals I've had, but hey, you know what? Hospitality top-notch, fantastic landing. And then from there, jumped on a plane from Joburg straight to Port Elizabeth and get to the airport. I was expecting Silas and Pete to like pick us up with like traditional dancers and things like that, Zulu warriors with spears, but I guess budget didn't allow. But anyway, so from there they picked us up, went to stay at our accommodation, and boy, oh boy, Royalstone was like, you seen the video? Seen the video? Oh my gosh. Where do you stay in the heart of the city and you have wildlife walking around like around your compound and things like that? Like, you go for a trail run and you're meeting like a buffalo. Yeah. More motivation to run faster. Anyway, guys, let me focus. So yeah, from there, stayed in Port Elizabeth for the night. Fantastic accommodation. So, Pete, Becky, Silas, Michelle, Tutu, shout out to you guys. Thank you for taking care of us like we're your brothers and sisters. So, big up to you guys. May God continue blessing you and expanding your territory. Yeah, and then the next day, Friday, jumped into the cars, drove down to Mossel Bay, 4-hour drive, beautiful, expansive roads and things like that. Passed by Storms River, had a fantastic coffee and things like that. The bagels were so amazing. And then landed in Mossel Bay, straight into registration, picked our bags, and you can see the sweat on people's faces from that picture that has just zoomed past you and things like that. If the picture didn't zoom past you, we'll talk to the editing team, or you can just go to our social media handles and see how guys were dying of anxiety. Yeah. And then from there, I did a run recce, Saturday, did a bike recce, swim recce, had lunch, went and set up transition, and then it was go time on Sunday. But guess what? My go time started at 1 a.m. Tossed and turned, woke up at 1 a.m. My mind was racing, my heart was racing, everything wanted to come out. I wanted to throw up, I wanted to take a dump, like it was just crazy. And then, Jesus says that sometimes that is, not sometimes, that is the best time to talk to him because everything is zen. So man, I just like, okay, since you're up, homie, have a conversation with your maker. And I did. So like from like 1 till like 3:30 in the morning, I was just praying and, petitioning and asking God, oh my God, I'm not going to make it again. This happened in Rwanda, now it's happening again. And then went and sat in bed and then got out of bed at 4 o'clock because that was our call time. And then prepped and left for the race at 5. So yeah, that's literally my Sunday. That's how it started. So yeah, got into transition, sorted out our bottles, everything. Took a cup of coffee, took my gel, my electrolyte, and I was like, you know what? If God be for us, who can be against us? Boom! And we did our prayers, jumped into the water for the start of the 1.9 kilometer swim. And boy, oh boy, didn't I enjoy that water. Okay, disclaimer. I didn't make my time. My time was supposed to be 40 minutes. I came out 43 minutes. But hear me, the same thing happened again. Like, I was coming out of the water, I saw like all the people, and then I was like, James Bond, came out of the water, 43 minutes. And I was like, damn, man, this feels good. Woo! So I was like, considering I'd slept for all of like 4 hours. Then I was like, oh, feels good. Came out of the water, guys cheering. They're like, go hands up, go hands up. I think they're talking to the guy behind me because they definitely lost me because he was the one throwing his hands in the air. So, I know somewhere in the world somebody thinks I'm handsome.
I think for me, the first takeaway was when I actually interacted with the water on recce day. I was like, this is beautiful. The water was just probably the best scene I've actually seen in my life. And I actually just did play out. So first dip into the water on the recce, pretty cold. And I was just like, okay, that's something new. Come race day, slightly warmer, but the waters were exceptional. I think I've never enjoyed a swim as much as I did this time. Still can't swim in a straight line for life, but it was a great swim. It was a great swim for me. I felt calm. I felt relaxed. What could have actually just played out as a very difficult swim in terms of like the lengths and the distances. We went out for 900 and 800 in a straight line. That typically would be quite daunting. In this instance, it just felt, take it piece by piece, stroke by stroke, catch by catch. It just played out pretty well. So I was very contented with the swim. Out of all three, I think this one's the one that actually just came out the best.
Mossel Bay was pretty good, the race, I can say. The swim, it was daunting at first because I didn't know what to expect. From the last time we were here in Durban, I remember after the race, the ocean looked pretty wild. So, and we were told it's usually very unpredictable depending on the weather. So I had that small fear in me that maybe the waters might be a bit rough. But when we went for the recce, I was pretty impressed. The swim was very calm. The ocean was very calm, considering the Mossel Bay is located on a bay from the Nile. Yeah, so yeah, I had fun on the swim. I thought I would do better times on the swim, considering how much training I put in, but yeah, it still went into my 50s minutes. So I still have some bit of work to do. But yeah, still, nevertheless, I pretty enjoyed the swim.
Fast track to transition, wetsuit off. In my mind, I'm like, I'm going to be like systematic and put everything together. And my lips were white. Wow. Looked like I just walked out the Kalahari Desert. I could taste the salt from the ocean, things like that. So drank my electrolytes and things, set up, wore my helmet, wore my shades out there looking like a CIA agent, and then whoop, straight onto the bike. Now, this is where everything came together and then fell apart because raw. So I get on the bike, it's like a 5, 6, 7 kilometer steady climb to get out of transition. And this is how, like, whoever drew the route from Mossel Bay, like, you're a genius. Because every time you turn to your left, you're literally just seeing the ocean and a beautiful view. So you kind of forget that you're actually in a race. So steady climb until you get onto the N2, come down into TT position, looking like a pro, Jan Frodeno style and things like that. So in your head, you think you look like Jan Frodeno. In reality, you look like a villager riding a black mamba. But hey, that's neither here nor there. Good thing about triathlon is once you're in your kit, all of you look like pros. So that was a fantastic 17 kilometer stretch on the N2. Then we turned right now to go into the hinterlands of Mossel Bay. And I thought I was moving fast, when in actual fact I had a tailwind. So tailwind was carrying me. Then when I turned right, that tailwind became a side wind. And I was like, bro, what's going on? But it was okay because there are certain sections of the road where now that, generally became a tailwind. Then we had a super drop, man. 8 to 9 kilometers of going downhill. Oh my gosh, I felt like a Ferrari, Maserati, whatever it is, fantastic, having fun. Got to the bottom of the hill, did the turnaround, met the Ironman team, and they're like, hey, Booty, I saw you in Rwanda, now you're here, I saw you in Durban. I'm like, man's international. Anyway, once I turned, I remembered I came down for 9 kilometers. I have to go work up for 9 kilometers. Oh my Jesus. But it was so fantastic because then from there, like I saw Huria and, he's like become he's become a stronger rider and things like that. And then, as a coach, you're happy. You're like, ah! As an athlete, you're like, homie's going to catch me. But then you're like, it means the program is working. More for him than it is for me. But anyway, so, and he did catch me. So big up to you, Huria. I'm proud of you. Keep doing what you're doing. At least this time you didn't have an upset stomach. Neither did you break a bike. Neither did you forget your helmet. Neither did you forget your running shoes. Bro, like this year was systems go. So I'm proud of you. Keep doing what you're doing, bro. Then what happened after that? Yeah, like finished that 9. Let me tell you, it's a 9, but it's like 15. Because even when you get to the top, like it's still a small climb. So did like that million kms of climbing that hill, and it was then from there straight down to the turn. And then when I turned to do the last 17, 18 kilometers to get to Mossel Bay, everything fell apart because remember that tailwind I was talking about? Now you're facing the ocean. What does it become? Headwind. Boom. I went from average pace of 33 kilometers per hour down to like 23, bro. Man, can you believe, like, guys were checking the app and wondering, like, is this guy cycling backwards or something like that? But anyway, I chose to be that guy, chose not to draft, even though guys were drafting. I see you should have told me that it's allowed or not allowed. But hey.
Getting onto the bike, we had heard a lot about the bike. We were told, expect a lot of climbs, expect a lot of rolling hills, expect a lot of headwind. And true to word, everything we were told came to be. Because as soon as you get out of transition, there's a steady steep climb for maybe like 5 kilometers or so. And I usually get excited the first time when I'm on the bike. So this time I try to regulate myself, just keep on a steady pace, pedaling, maintaining a cadence up to the top of the hill. Then now, once I think we were out of the town, now into the countryside. It was a really beautiful ride. Very scenic with the countryside with the rolling hills. pretty tough nevertheless. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed the bike. And yeah, this time round, I ensured that I was hydrated. I was properly hydrated on the bike and took proper nutrition to prevent all the cramping. So we went down all the way to kilometer 45. It was a beautiful, beautiful descent. Like, I was looking at my watch and the speeds. Wow. Yeah, I was really impressed. It was really nice. It was really nice. I really enjoyed that section. And you know what they say? Once you go down, you must come up. And now, yeah, that's when reality now started hitting after the turning point, because there was the steep climb all the way. And once you get to the top of the hill, crazy headwinds. Crazy, my guy. And yeah, I just struggled, tucked in on the TT. This is the first time I've used TTs in a race, so yeah, I was using them mostly on the headwinds and on the hill and on the descents. It came in pretty handy. I really enjoyed. Proper type 2 fun, if I must say. Then yeah, we got back on the highway, then sped down all the way to T2.
Off into transition and onto the bike course. That was something. That was something. You have to climb out of a wall. It's like you're in a little, like, it's out of the fishbowl and onto dry land. Literally, you had to get out of T2 and climb before you actually get into the entire ride. So it's a rolling course, but it's got some pretty interesting climbs. Luckily, I'd actually interacted with it a little bit on a turbo trainer, a smart trainer. So I sort of knew what to expect, but when you actually roll out onto the course itself, it is a challenge. But once again, I just told myself, take it easy. You know where you're climbing, you know what you're rolling out into. So going out was pretty fair, pretty smooth, played out as expected. Coming back, now that's where the work was. Turn around climbing out of another like 3 to 5 kilometers of climbing. That was brutal. That was brutal. I mean, when you actually see people getting off their bikes, and that's when you know, okay, fine, something's going on here. But since we've practiced, we've trained, we were like, no, I just said, I'm going to be on the bike. I'm pushing through. And I just decided to just ride. So it was just head down, aero position, keep moving. So coming back, it was challenging in terms of like the hill climbing, the winds, lots of headwinds. But it's all part of the challenge. Came through, finally made it back into transition. But I'd like to even just talk about the last drop before we get into transition. Again, the ocean just opens up into some beautiful, beautiful, beautiful sights. So that to me was just like, wow, this is just stunning. So it takes away, you go through so much pain, but your reward is that at the end of each stage, you're just getting little snippets of visual rewards. And I think that's what stood out for me.
T2, yeah, it was pretty fast as well. I think now I've gotten the hang of what to do during the T2, and changed into my running shoes, put on my hat. I had my banana at the T2, then shot out. The run, oh my God, that run was beautiful. Beautiful is an understatement. Mossel Bay is a really stunning town. I was really impressed. Because once you head out, you go up to the port. There's a steady hill. It is a killer hill, that one. So I tried to regulate my heart rate going up, walking at certain points, just to maintain myself. And yeah, at some point you turn into the beautiful beach. My God, that place is beautiful. It's like you're running adjacent to the ocean, and there are people's houses, and guys were hosing us from their balconies. It was a really good feeling with the cold water in your face. So yeah, I really enjoyed the run, even though it was those hills were really killer hills. We did the loop system 3 times. That was mentally tasking, but you just take it one stride at a time, one loop at a time, just giving yourself energy, giving yourself psych. At least there were fans along the road who were cheering us on. They had music, so at least it was boosting the adrenaline in me, and yeah, just giving us the psych and the energy.
Got into transition, and you remember now, like that's when the hunger started eating. So remember, I had woken up like at 1. Remember now, hey, I just had like a bowl of oats and coffee and things like that. Let me tell you, the hunger. The front of my stomach was touching my spine. Wait. Hunger. Hey. For those of you who fast and pray, you understand what I'm talking to. Remember if you fast and you break your fast at 6 o'clock, at 5:59, you're seeing hunger. That was it for me, guys. Hey! Now, luckily, shout out to you, Silas and Tutu. This is where they came in. So we had bought lasagna, but as Kenyans say, lasagne. So we had bought lasagne, and then I had packed it in a container, so I'd put it in my race bag. Let me tell you, hey, I ate that lasagna. It felt like eating, T-bone steak, with sauce and everything. Anyway, luckily the cameramen were not there to see because we were like in a tent. And then, so remember, my mind is everywhere and things like that, I was feeling anxious. So, and I was like, I'd lost my time because I'd done 43 minutes on the swim. I had done 3 hours 30 on the bike, and my target was 40 minutes in the swim, 3 hours 5 on the bike. So now I was just like off my time. But I was like, you know what? If a guy who slept at 1 o'clock, woke up at 1 o'clock, I'm like, bro, you're killing it, That's according to me, not according to like everyone else. But, then from there, decided to literally change something I have never done in any triathlon in my life. And I've been doing triathlons from when I had hair. So you can imagine how long that has been. Okay? I changed my entire kit. I never did my run in a tri-suit. I did my run in, as my friends like to call them, booty shorts and a vest and things like that. So I literally changed my entire outfit. But this was the funny thing. I felt like reborn. Like I was like, I felt lighter. I was like in the flow. I had my, I don't know, maybe, like guys will put a picture or something like that. I think that's what guys do here. Insert picture here. Like a vest with the Kenya flag and, like my nice shorts. And no, it's just like out here looking like a marathon runner. But, I did run half a marathon after that. And I was feeling fresh, I was like, okay, this feels good. Sun in your face, and things like that. And once I got onto the run route, I just kept saying this. Jesus, thank you. Like, I had COVID like all of 6 weeks ago. Climbing a flight of stairs was like, felt like I'd run 10K. And now I'm running in Mossel Bay. See what I did there? And I was just so thankful, like, because the run route for Mossel Bay, yes. I actually felt challenged as an event manager who does triathlons, because I was like, I need a beautiful route like that.
For me, the run almost came undone. Got some severe cramps, likely because I pushed a little bit hard on the bike, and maybe some parts of my nutrition didn't come together. But overcame the cramps, told myself I'm going to run it, told myself I'm going to finish it. It wasn't going to play out the way I thought it's going to play out, but I just said, fine, I'm just going to push step by step, and get this thing done. So that's what happened, and then pushed it all the way to the end. I just say out of the 3 legs, pain, but the visuals actually took it all away. So it's just a mixture of just pain and just visually stunning.
It was such a beautiful route. you literally forget about how hard it is, and you forget that you need to finish. Like, I literally forgot that I need to finish in a set time, and I'd given myself targets, and I was just like, bouncing back from where I had come from, the challenges that I had faced. I mean, we didn't even know if we're gonna make it for this particular edition of the event, and then God came through in such amazing ways. We got fantastic partners on board. Aero Club, East Africa, Navex, Coach Consult, Nomads Beach Restaurant, but of course, Silas, Tutu, Pete, Becky, and everybody who just rallied together to make sure that we got to the start line, and now we just had to do them proud. And so for me, when I was racing, I was like, what, thank you, God, for this opportunity, even though I've slept for 3 or 4 hours. And it was a reminder that, pray to him and he'll give you rest. So rest may not come in sleep, but it will come in other forms. And I actually wasn't stressed on the race, in the race, on the race, in the race. I was never stressed. I was not stressed. I was actually just enjoying myself, even though there was a hand wind from God knows where.
Takeaway. One is, if you prepare for a race, then your outcome is gonna be pretty good. Okay. And when I say good, it's that I don't participate, I don't win prize money. But when you prepare for a race pretty well, then you're gonna enjoy it. And I think that's why you hear me speaking to some of these experiences, that I enjoyed the race because the preparation, the planning was thorough. I actually even forgot to just mention why I had experience with the bike races that I actually did explain it. I did on a turbo trainer, so a smart trainer, so I actually had an experience without actually coming out to Mossel Bay. So my takeaway is that you can create the most stunning experiences from just look around you. There's so much you can do with what's around you, and I think that's what I discovered in this particular instance. They've actually picked out, we have a beautiful setting, we have people who want to participate in sports, we have people who want, and I don't even talk about just the participants in terms of the riders, you have participants in terms of like even spectators. So just look around you and see what you can do with what you have, because Mossel Bay is in the middle of nowhere. I don't know how. I would never have actually visited this part or that part of this country ever in my life, but it's actually put that on the map for me. So kudos to the organizers, the fact that they've actually seen something and put it out there for the rest of us to enjoy. And that's, I hope that that's what we can actually bring to everyone who's out there. Go out and discover triathlons wherever you can, or whatever sport then you decide to do. But in this instance, I'm triathlon biased, so go out and enjoy your triathlons.
Believe in the beauty of your dreams. I think when we were starting out the year, we had this Africa Triathlon Odyssey. I didn't know if I was prepared mentally, physically, emotionally, financially. But yeah, I just kept on believing and trusting in God and my teammates and everyone's my support, family and friends. And it has all manifested itself here in Mossel Bay. Yeah, having done 3 races outside the country, it's such a blessing. I don't take it for granted. I can do hard things. Yeah. You're usually limited by your beliefs. So, yeah, training for this thing was not easy. It was not easy. Those early morning training, late evening, mid-lunch workouts, it wasn't easy mentally, physically. It took a lot.
No man is an island. And I say that because triathlon is an individual sport, but you become a success based on the community that you have. And so seeing the TTF and the overall triathlon community, even in Port Elizabeth and Mossel Bay, just coming together to make sure that every athlete was fantastic. Like, you stand on the shoulders of so many other people who've been able to make the sport great or make your opportunity, a lot easier and things like that. So that's one thing that stood out for me. The second is that your friends, your teammates are like your family, So they generally come together to make sure that, you're successful. Whether you're the coach, whether you're the athlete, whether you're taking photos, whether you're cooking, whatever it is, like, that thing stood out very clearly, that you are your brother's keeper. So make sure that he doesn't fall and things like that. The way you expect God to bless you is not the way it will begin to show itself, but it will eventually come the way you had asked. So it's just like training. The blessing is more in the process than it is in the product. Okay? So this trip, I learned a lot about myself. First and foremost, clearly, my brain never shuts down. So I need to learn how to shut my brain down because it's always churning ideas and things like that. Secondly, but in that churning of ideas, you see how God then blesses you for things that now, with the knowledge and the skill set to be able to pick something and say, I can implement this in Kenya going forward. So you ask God for knowledge and wisdom, but then it comes in a different way. Like, you have to go through the race, literally almost bonk, and then be like, oh wow, this is how they've decided to divide the road. Very good point. So yeah, you pray to God to be able to, do this race and do it well and finish, okay? And my last two races, actually 3 races, Rwanda, Kilifi, I finished, but I didn't get the time that I wanted. I didn't get the position that I wanted. But then the fact that God allowed me to finish was a blessing in itself, because you've boarded planes, you've taken trains, you've driven cars, traversed cities and things like that. And you can sit and forget that His blessing did come, because the product was, I wanted to finish and finish strong. I didn't finish in the time that I wanted, but I finished and I finished strong, and I was able to be sitting here telling this story about how God has been able to bless me. But then through the process, through the fiery furnace, because all the events I've done, Rwanda, Kilifi and thing, it has been so hot, it felt like a fiery furnace. I don't know how those Kina Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego felt in that fire. Me, hey, dige hotter, please. But for me, then that was like such a beautiful lesson, because in the process, I was being churned and I was being told, lean more on God, don't lean on your own strength. You can run, and I'll give you the strength to be able to run faster, to swim faster, to cycle faster, but I need you to lean on me. So that for me is just one of the things that stood out, that the blessing does not necessarily come in the package that you expect it, but it will eventually come, because again, like when I crossed the finish line, I looked around and I was like, you're in South Africa, you're in Kilifi, you're in Rwanda, you're in Durban, like, these are places some of us used to see in magazines, some of us dreamed of, and now you're there on ground and things like that. So maybe you made a prayer to travel, maybe you had made a prayer to see the world, but then you just have to go through a triathlon to be able to see it. So yeah, but last but not least, I think I also learned a lot about myself, whether it was patience or impatience, whether it was kindness or unkindness, whether it was mind not shutting down and being able to focus on this particular thing because you're thinking about so many other things. Being kind to yourself with where you are. And I think just also, sometimes we put ourselves on like this pedestal, like that one for where you think you are and then where you actually are, and then just taking it into consideration and acknowledging that this is where I am, this is what God has blessed me with, I'll do the best with what God has blessed me with. And like as I was running and as I was cycling, I was like, yeah, the headwind is crazy, but I'm cycling in Mossel Bay, you know? I want to do this time, so I'll just go and try and push harder. I'll just try and run harder, and if I can't, I thank God that above all else, I can get to the finish line. So it was just like, you know, this is where you are, this is who you are. Maybe you're not this, you don't have the same fitness level. You don't have the same fitness level. Maybe you didn't train enough. Maybe you are unwell and things like that. So you can find yourself, you know, putting yourself down when my therapist told me, you know, take stock of all these things that have happened and then now put it together and say, you know what? Thank you, God. Because through all that mayhem, God will eventually bless you. And above all else, my biggest prayer is that when people watch this video, people see us on Instagram and all those things, they know that God is the one. It's not by my strength, it's not by my power, but it's by His grace and His goodness that we're able to do all these things. And that for me is the most important.
The expectations of the race?
Oh, to which start? Okay, expectations, we are here.